So today, right, so Celeste mommy will be teaching us how she prune a mulberry plant, and on top of that, we're going to use the prune stems and the branches to repot into baby little mulberries. Let's go!
Hi! Okay, so in order to get some cuttings to get more plants out of this mulberry, we normally have to choose some of these leaves, like from here, usually about 2 or 3 nodes from here, we do a cutting. Okay, and then over here we can do another, leaving 2 to 3 nodes, so you leave a stronger stem, and then just do a cutting from here. So there's this one here, so we can do a cutting. There are some of these fruits. You can just cut after the fruits. Normally they fruit on the lower part of the mulberry. So you see, like for this branch, you see, because of your cutting, these new shoots came out, and then they gave you how many fruits? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and the rest will not have more fruits. So normally I will do a clipping off. So this gives more exposure to the sunlight.
I see.
So when they are more exposed, they start to grow new shoots, and they give you more fruits out of it.
I see.
So like this thing here, I will not keep it because they will take up the nutrients. Okay.
So whenever, right, so the trick is that when the branch starts to split into a Y shape, right, the one that is taller, you take the taller one, leaving about 2 or 3 nodes, and you cut it. The reason is because you want them to grow in a more wide version, so there will be more branches, which will end up with more fruits, right?
Yes, right. So like this for example, this was cut the last time. I kept the lower part of the fruits, you see, and then this is where I cut them. Then it came out with the new shoots
and more fruits, and
this will have more fruits out of it.
I see.
So you don't just come back to cut your fruits, your plant, and then you have no fruits at the end.
Okay, so good. So now that we have harvested the branches and the stems, now we're going to bring it back, and I'm going to show you exactly how you transplant and to grow baby mulberries. Let's go! Okay. Alright guys, so now we are back in the indoor, where we're going to do planting of the stems that we have just cut from the mulberry plant. And the thing about it, I like about it, is that when you do more trimming, it really helps the plant to grow fatter and more bushier, which allows to have more branches, and ultimately you will have more fruits. And so that's part 1. And part 2 is that with the newly cut stems and branches, you get to propagate them, and you get more baby mulberry plants. Okay, so today I'm going to show you how easy it is today. And so basically you need these few materials. Number 1, you need a spade, so that we're going to scoop the soil. The part where you're going to plant the newly cut branches inside. You have a scissors, so I'm going to teach you how to cut and to prepare them for planting. And then you have the rest of the soil media. And over here we have the fertilizer. Fertilizer is not necessary when you first pot it, but is needed maybe about 3 or 4 weeks later, because mulberry needs a lot of fertilizer. Number 2, you need to have a good soil mix. A good soil mix from a mixture of compost, a mixture of good well drainage media like rice hulls, and maybe even some burnt soil. And here I just want to show you that we also provide compost that are naturally made by Tai Kwang, and you can actually purchase them on the website. And so yeah, let's go. So with these branches and the stems that we just cut off just now, so what I'm going to do is that once we cut it from the nursery, you wrap it in tissue, and then you put water and you wrap it inside a plastic bag, and then it's ready to bring back home. And once you're back home, it's really important to pot them as soon as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open and show you guys exactly how it works. It's good to have a waterproofing planting mat like that you can do your repotting, so that you don't dirty your place. So yep, here you go. And I'm going to choose just like one of them. Okay, so you can see, right, when you do a trimming and you do get multiple nodes, so it is important that we look for the magic number 4. Okay, so we're going to have 2 plus 2, so there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes. And nodes are really the parts that is right next to the leaves, and there's this like really tiny kind of like a buds that is ready to sprout into a new branch or stem. And you count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you do a cut on just right above it, maybe say about 1 or 1.5 inch. All right. Okay, so for the top, we're going to discard it, because mulberry, the chance of survival will be better when it's actually more of a bigger and a woody stem. So you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, and what you do is that you're going to cut the leaves in half, okay, like that. The reason why you want to cut the leaves in half is because we want to allow the plant to have a higher rate of survival, and by doing this, you reduce the amount of water loss, because you know the bigger the leaf, the higher the surface area of losing water. So when you cut it in half, it still has some tiny leaves to make food, like to photosynthesize, but yet it has a lesser surface area of losing water, so the rate of survival will be higher. So this is a tip. Alright, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to cut it a bit shorter over here so that we're going to plant, because we're going to cut the stem. So again, for the very last note, maybe leave about 2 inches, and you do a cut. And so what happens is that most people will do a flat cut, and that's not a good example. The reason is because you want to do a 45 clean cut so that you get the most surface area to allow the water to go up to the plant. So that's how I do it, alright? And then we do a 45-degree cut. Alright, and then you leave the stem over here. Okay, I'm going to prepare, I've already prepared a few more stem cutting over here just to show you guys how it looks like. So I'm going to open it. And what we're doing today is that we're going to put 3 branches into one pot, right? So according to the Celeste mommy, the expert, she mentioned that if you put 3, there's a chance that some of them may not survive. So if you have like 1 or 2 dead, you still have at least 1. But if you do get all 3 of them surviving, so that's a bonus. So that's what we want today. So what we did was that, yeah, we already had some cuttings over here. 1, 2, and 3, yeah, all about the same height. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3. And what we are going to do is that we want to plant the first 2 nodes into the soil, right? This is exactly where the roots will start to sprout. So we're going to put like them here. So do that, plant them in a triangle, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to pot it and put the soil in. So I'm going to show you right now, okay? And it's important to use a soil mix that is well drained. You don't want to have too much water or moisture retained there, because it's going to kill the plant. All right, okay. So now that we have 3 stems, I'm going to put it in here. So make sure that 1 and 2 nodes is going to be below the soil. We're going to top up with more soil. Okay, more soil. One more scoop. Okay. Yep. So give them a good push. It's important that you pack the soil a bit harder so that there's no movement. You know, this is another tip, is that when you do transplanting and repotting, you make sure that the soil is compact and the plant or the stems and the branches and the roots are not disturbed. Because the moment they are disturbed, it's like trying to injure a plant, and we don't want that. We want to have a highest rate of survival. So you pack it in, all right, and then you give it a good watering, right? So there you go. All right, so this is how it looks. For the next few days, put it a bit in the shade where you don't want to have the direct sunlight, and after that you can repot it, put it into the direct sun, because mulberry loves sun. So this is how it looks like when it's being repotted after approximately 4 to 6 months. And you see, right, we do get like fruits and growing out. You know, like mulberry is just, they're so loving for the tropical climate, and Singapore is just perfect place. And I just want to give you 2 more tips regarding mulberry plant, is that when, you know, like the fruits usually will start to sprout exactly where the cutting is, okay? So like for example here, there's like 1 knot, 2 knots, and 3 knots. Usually they will only fruit around here, and they will stop fruiting here. So you don't want the plant to waste unnecessary energy on the ends where there's no fruit. And what you do is that you can do a cutting over here. So what they will do, you know, is that they will cut it over here, yeah? And then whatever that you cut here, these knots will start to spread out again. So it becomes like, instead of 1 branch, it becomes 2 branches. And then from 2 branches, you cut again, it becomes 4 branches. So that's how you constantly trim it, and to allow the, you know, the side branches to grow, and it becomes more and more bushy. All right. The second tip is that look at this pot, right? So this is newly planted 6 months ago, and the next step is to repot them into a bigger pot. But most people will be like, you know, maybe if I put it into a bigger pot, like as big as possible, it will grow like twice as fast. But that's not correct. So when it comes to gardening, you have to be patient. The reason is because you want the plant to be potted to the next available size so that you do not kill the plant. And what do I mean by that? When you move on to a too big a pot, right, there's a lot of soil around, but the plant is still small, so it's not able to take up as much moisture. So the rest of the moisture will be trapped in the soil, which creates a very wet and damp condition, and it will cause the plant to have potential root rotting or to drown the plant, even worse. So what we want to do is that you move, once this plant is ready, where the roots are more or less established, you move it to the next available size, and then you pot it in. That's when it can start to grow a bit bigger, and then you move on again and again, and that's how you have a very sustainable and healthy plant. All right, so I hope I have shared with you guys enough information about growing your own mulberry plant. I hope they become a craze and enjoy the fruit. It's so tasty, and check it out, this one is ready to be harvested. So I'm going to cut it here, and I'm going to give myself a good treat after the long work. So I see you again. Bye bye for now.